Yeah, my old neighbor, he's 92 years old. He called me 2 times this weekend. Usually I'm calling him, right? So he's had 2 strokes, so he's kind of... He can think of words, but he can't say them that good. So, I'd say when I was in my 20s and he was in his 70s, because he's 50 years older than me. Man, we used to stay up till 4 in the morning in Woodlands, Texas, and drink scotch until 4 in the morning. We'd talk about movies and people and places, and yeah, we talk about quantum physics and Stephen Hawking and dark matter and dark energy and all kinds of shit until 4 in the morning. So he was able to have complex conversations for long periods of time. But after he had his few strokes about a few years ago, now he can't think of a word to say. So when he tries to say a word, it's like this Philly Papa, Philip Waters, my old friend and neighbor I'm talking about. So instead of saying like, oh, my computer, he's like, my dumb pooter. And I'm like, what? What are you saying? He's like, my dumb pooter. And I'm like, computer? He's like, yeah. So he's having difficulty after the stroke saying the words. He's like, I went to my car. No, he's like, I went to my fart. And I'm like, you went to your fart? I'm in my car. He's having a lot of trouble. Plus, if you get old and crippled, nobody wants to hang around you anymore. So he was calling me on Zoom all weekend because he was sitting on his ass and he was getting lonely because he has a fantasy that he has a girlfriend, but his wife's been dead for years. But the fantasy of having a girlfriend comforts him. And I think that's how a lot of predators sweep in when they know people are hurting. You've seen like the movies, you heard about the stories like about the widow and she's grieving her ex-husband, and you hear about the guy who sweeps in, maybe sometimes it could even be a younger guy, much younger sometimes, or maybe around her same age, so it doesn't raise too many suspicions. Then the person's like, oh, hey, oh, it's too bad you lost your husband. And it's like, oh, you're having trouble getting around. Well, I can help you for a fee. And then eventually they get real good with the elderly person, right? And then they're like, suddenly it's like, hey, I need a car. Can you spare one? Or like, hey, can I use your, I'm going grocery shopping. Can I take your credit card? And then it just kind of leapfrogs from there. Then the person becomes more and more incompetent, and then they can't run their financial affairs anymore. And then the person just gets their claws in slowly but surely, starts taking stuff from the elderly person. Do I think this happened to Phil with this woman? I don't know. She's a professional. She like keeps a bunch of guys, like she runs around a bunch of elderly people taking money, but I wouldn't be surprised. So Phil's had this fantasy for a long time, since he moved in there 6 years ago to into the hood of Pasadena. It's by Edgebrook. I know the area. It's real ghetto. A lot of blacks and Mexicans, you know, to be honest. So it's real hoodish over there, real ghetto, you know. So, you know, this lady Sylvia, I don't know if she's a, you know, like bumming shit from an old white guy, taking his bank account and taking his car and shit, because, well, he can't even use it anyway, but besides the point. But I don't know if she's siphoning off money, you know, into her account or her son's account or her family's account. You know, Hispanic families are usually rather large. So, yeah, I don't know. She's helping out her sister and her son and her grandchild, and who knows. Phil's not a rich man, so. So I'm sure there are a lot of predators that sweep in when somebody becomes invalid, or, you know, they just lost their wife or they just lost their husband because they're having a traumatic experience at that time and they're vulnerable. They want the replacement person. They want the replacement girlfriend or the replacement husband because they were used to that most of their life. So... I think Phil was married to his wife Ray for, man, 40 years or so. Long time. So. It's kind of like hot chicks. Like really hot women aren't used to being single. So like a lot of hot chicks will, if they get dumped, or they dump their boyfriend, they immediately try to find a new boyfriend because they're not used to being single at all. They don't like it. So even in his stroked out state, worse than John Fetterman. Fetterman, after a stroke, some cardiac problems, he's just kind of like he's kind of like on like he's on drugs, like he's just on a bunch of statins and shit. But Phil is, you know, 92 years old. He's not like John Fetterman's what, 55 or so, 59 or whatever. He's on the high end of Generation X, right? He's high X. The Marilyn Manson. Is that a song? Yeah, the higher end of low. I like that. The higher end of low. I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me. Yeah, there's a lot of great... No, my favorite is when he came out with that... was it an album or a song? It was like, this is the new shit. This is the new shit. Clever. because people were kind of anticipating a new Marilyn Manson song. It would have a proper title, The Depths of Agony, something, Blood of the Innocents, The Higher End of Low, Antichrist Superstar. People were kind of like, Marilyn Manson, Brian Hugh Warner is very eloquent in his English speech. He's very erudite, very well read and spoken and everything. So people were just kind of expecting, with his acumen, with his poetic literary mind, for him to come up with a great title for a song. But he just called it "This Is the New Shit." Brilliant. That was from the album The Golden Age of Grotesque. And now that's a proper title. The Golden Age of Grotesque. This is the new shit. Fucking brilliant, huh? Had an itchy eye. Yeah. So the John Fetterman is kind of like, hey, we need to the Democrats, the Democrat Republican, to come together and do it. So that's his kind of stroke talk. It's kind of together, but it kind of slurs, like he's drunk sometimes. It doesn't have quite the good flow. But it's not super fucked up. You can still roll with some questions and some coherent sentences. In a shiver, fell in the bayou. Yeah, some of those artificial intelligence songs. They're trying to sound like they're soulful. Even if it's like a white guy that's supposedly the avatar, it's like it still sounds fucking fake. And it's like, oh, down, yeah. And it sounds like bullshit. You know? It doesn't sound very authentic with the artificial intelligence. So all this like soul singing, it doesn't sound very authentic. It sounds like, I don't know, it just sounds like fake. It's like all this like fake ass AI soul singing just sounds like garbage. Whether it's AI, what was there, AI groups? Yeah, what is it, Broken Rust or whatever is one outfit. And then the other one was called Velvet Sundown or some shit. Yeah. There's only one Velvet I listen to, baby. The Velvet Underground. With Lou Reed. Sally sucking on my ding dong. Sally sucking on my ding dong. Like Sister Ray said. Yeah. The good shit. Right? Now, if you listen to Sister Ray by the Velvet Underground, not the Velvet fucking AI Sundown. It's like, Sally sucking on my ding dong. Sally sucking on my ding dong. And when it says that, you're like, it's kind of like semi-shocking, but it's kind of like a Sister Ray. It's a nice groove. Sally sucking on his ding dong. You're like, okay, whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But the music, it's real. It seems real. You know, it is real. So yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Sister Ray is the final track, I believe, to that one Velvet Underground album, and you're like, kind of surprised that then it's like, Sally sucking on my ding dong, and you're like, where did that? But you kind of like chuckle, right? Yeah. It's kind of like David Bowie, you know, when he sings, well hung like snow white trash. You're kind of like, that's funny. But like, that was, I definitely wasn't expecting that, right? So, well, when they introduced the penis into the classic rock songs, a lot of people are like, what? Where'd that come from? You're listening to the album, and then all of a sudden it's like, well hung like snow white trash. Is that from like Ziggy Stardust? Yeah. Artificial intelligence ain't got shit. You know, they can make as many fake tracks as they want to, as much AI slop as you want to. But the 8 billion people and consumers around the world could feed this beast. And they could, on Pandora and Spotify, buy all this AI shit and send the real life musicians to the graveyards into early retirement. Sure. That's technically possible. And then they could have like a hologram on stage for the band. Yeah, it could just be totally artificial band, artificial music. Sure, as long as the artificial intelligence makes the artificial music and you can make the artificial projection, then why do you even need human beings anymore in the creative process? Who needs that? Human beings? Who needs the humans anymore when you can have the machines? Who needs Cynthia when you could have Cynthia, a synthetic woman? Who needs a tree that grows when you could have a fake plastic tree? Radiohead, the Bins. Fake plastic trees. Those are good. Oh, those are great. Yeah. It's like fake plastic trees. Or something like. If you remember the song, right? Fake plastic. That's a great song. Fake plastic trees. It's like fake plastic trees. And he does this falsetto, and it's like, Yeah, I always thought that's a pretty song. Thomas York at Radiohead, Johnny Greenwood, and I can name like a few members of the group, but not the whole shebang. So tonight we're gonna have hamburger helper stroganoff. With some green beans and some iced tea.